Okay, Oscar, start all
No.
over.
No,
Oscar
Park
just said
City.
is expensive.
Park City was good to talk to the logistics, right? You really need to get there early to adjust to the altitude. I'm going to tell you that for sure. It's you're going to appreciate it doing that. Uh, the food is ridiculous expensive. Even there's some places that are even more expensive than Park City, but the breakfast is like two eggs, a toast, two sticks of sausage, potatoes. That was with tip comes almost to $30, and that was the cheapest thing you can find around there. And then you go to eat pizza, and it's $20 for the smallest thing you can find. But the problem is that you start work. The show starts on Friday. You set up at noon. By the time the show officially starts at 5, you get out of there at 9 o'clock. So you need to eat in there. The next day, you go on Saturday. It starts at 10, runs into 8 o'clock, and then on Sunday it's 10 to 6, which is the same problem. There's nothing. Even the supermarket is the things outside the Orchard area still is expensive. You're going to be spending at least $20 for the cheapest thing you can find. And the food is not that great. It doesn't taste like a $20 meal or $30 meal.
So these are not farm to plate restaurants for eggs for breakfast.
Yeah, it's a restaurant basically and shops and where the show is. It's a really nice location. The booth are back to back, side to side. You don't have no room for storage, but everybody gets a corner. But all your empties have to go back to the car, and you kind of bring it back to the show until at least 4:30 at the earliest on 5:30 at the earliest on Sunday. They tell you can just walk over there and grab it, so you don't have no storage whatsoever. So if you don't have storage inside your booth, you're basically screwed. Uh, and and it's a hill, and I promise you, you get to your spot, you don't want to walk down and walk back up or anything like that. You just want to stay nearby to your booth. Traffic was really good on Friday. Saturday slowed down. Sunday was just pathetic. Uh, uh, I'm going to tell you, if the way that people saw me, the show was like a Coconut Grove level. If people would have not told me that, I wouldn't be happy with the show. But I would say honestly, it's not worth. There was a lot of artists that they just drove just for that show, and it was not worth it
Did you go
for
out
most
there
of them.
just for one show?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Why?
First, there was nothing else going on that weekend. There's nothing that I wanted to do after that weekend, and I wanted to test the area just to get out of the system. You know, everybody was saying this is super, really good show that's worth driving just for the show. But even David Brugans, I can't ever pronounce his last name.
Bjorstrom.
Brewston said
Like
it was
Bjorn.
not. It was
Wait,
not
wait a second.
a great show.
Court, I'm getting a thunderstorm. Do you want to be a co-moderator?
Yeah.
How do I do that again?
Go to participants.
Okay, participants.
Okay, on my name, if you put cursor over my name, it'll say mute and then more. And if you go to the more, it should give you an option to make me a co-host.
Okay. Okay, you are the host now.
Okay.
But you know, I think it's one of the shows that's worth doing. Um, at least once. It's well organized. It's easy to do. Um, but you have to. The problem is that the show is Sun Valley, and one of the things that I got out of this show, they said that's a show that is for high end. You just hope to sell one or two big pieces, and that's it. Then if you don't have really expensive stuff, it's not worth doing. And then to say the guy was saying like, if you don't make your money in the morning, you screw in that show. Uh, but he's saying like so he told me not to do that one, to try to find something in Colorado in the way in or the way out. But definitely told me don't come just for that show, because the show is really Park City. He said like there are years it could be really good and years it's really bad. So my friend Chad has his best show ever, but he sells knives.
Knives,
Yeah,
Knives, knives.
The slice
you
and
know,
dice and
cooking
things.
knife. The things that you put your hand in the cutting board and they go like that, and they cut your fingers a couple times and then slice it down a little bit more and then throw it in the pan to cook.
You know, maybe after Park City, I'd put my head on the cutting board
Chopping block.
and go.
Oscar, what was the other show you were talking about? Talking about having to have big pieces?
Sun Valley, the one in Idaho.
Okay, so um,
And the thing with Sun Valley is, to make it clear, is what I was told at the show in Park City. I don't know if it's 100% accurate or not. That's what I was told. And they told me that I should not do that show. I should try to find something going back home.
so the guy that had knives was at Park City.
Which guy with knives?
His name is Shad. It's no Michael, whatever you're thinking.
And okay, so he was at Park City. So knives sold, but your work didn't sell as well.
Well, it makes sense in there, the knife to sell, because they had a lot of places where they sell knives, hunting knives and cooking knife in the street. And his stuff is really, really good. It's the second or third time I see him. And they are really freaking nice. They're starting $500 a piece. That's the cheapest one you can find.
Where is he from, Oscar? Do you know?
Wyoming.
Okay. Think of a different guy. There's a guy I was next to a few times in Tulsa who did knives, and he used lots of exotic did bone handles with exotic animals.
No,
And it was
he has
really interesting.
Yeah, he used exotic woods. That's what he used for the handles. But they are like he was selling like if you just get a set of three or these three, you cover for everything you use in the kitchen. You don't need. You really only need three
So
knives.
does he start from scratch and make the knives out of
Yeah, start from
steel?
scratch. Yep. And he has the samples like the block and how he does them, and they're next to each other so he can explain to people. And it's a simple setup, but he's super nice guy. And I saw Cesar. I saw Luis, the guy that makes the fruits. There was also Luis Gutierrez, the potter from Nicaragua. Will was there. Susan was there. Um, Kyle, Christy was there. But there was most of the people I know was in the bottom of the mountain, and I was in the top of the mountain. I was not going to. I did the walk on Saturday morning just to say hi to everybody, and that was about it. Itaran was next to me also. So, but some people did really good. I just think that it's one of those shows that I think the numbers are high because you have to sell like big pieces, big ticket items, and that's why the numbers skew really to the order level. They were saying that last year it's 100 artists, I think. And I think that it was $200,000 in sales last year from the show because you have to pay your sales tax at the end of the show. So the Department of Revenue, you have to go at 6 o'clock. You have to drop the check and the form at that time. So, but we see. But the traffic was not a buying crowd on Sunday, basically. There was nobody actually walking the show. But, you know, it is what it is. I still did good enough.
Yeah.
So,
Do you mind telling us what your expenses were just going out there and back, including everything, not including what it cost you to make the work, but your expenses from when you left home till you got there and then back? If you don't want to tell
the
it, that's
Airbnb,
fine.
the Airbnb was, I'm going to say $450. Yeah, $450. Then I got the parking ticket, so that made it 500. But that was for 4 nights. That was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for 4 nights. So I think that was the cheapest thing I can find.
That was the
Gas,
Airbnb?
yeah.
Okay.
And you definitely need to get an Airbnb.
Yeah.
Gas was 5 fill-ups, so it was $500 in gas.
So we're at 1,000. How much was booth fee?
I think it's 800 or 850, something in that
Yes.
range.
Okay, so we're up to 1,800. Food?
And I'm not going to count the food because you have to eat no matter what. So,
Yeah, that's a stretch. Okay. It's
but
different when
it's
you
an
can.
18.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but you don't eat
So-
$30 breakfasts at home.
Oh, I know, but and you can, there's eat breakfast on Saturday and Sunday outside. The other days I had breakfast in the hotel in the room.
But there's great ambiance.
Oh, forgot about that. No. And in lunch and dinner, it took me a little while and I only eat dinner out on Saturday and Sunday. The other days I eat, there was a place, Alberto, there was like a Chipotle, but that still was like a $15, $16 meal.
What? Did you say 50 or 60?
No,
Or
15.
15 or
$15, $16 meal.
yeah. I prefer that. I like Chipotle.
So
And that's actually reasonable.
yeah, and there's a supermarket in there. It's not the it's good enough, but like some of the you can go to the supermarket and buy a pre-made sandwich and things like that. They didn't have that for that. And then if you go to, and yes, you have to go and buy coffee in the middle of the day, no matter what. But the thing that was funny for me, they got one of those. The Airbnb had one of the stove that doesn't have the. It's a ignition, a nice. I don't know. Doesn't have the regular stuff. It's just a piece of glass that you have to have special topware to make it work.
Yeah.
So my
Induction.
what?
Induction.
Yeah, induction. So my pot didn't want to work, so I had to go back to the van and get my camping stove, bring it inside so I can make my coffee in the morning. So, but
That's a
other
trip.
than that, it was relaxing. I really enjoyed being there. I wish I could have taken more pictures, but there was nothing around there that inspired me to take pictures. So
Well, actually, you could have gone up to the northwest to Palouse.
yeah, but there was a lot of wildfires going in there, and the sky was. As soon as you get to Utah, you can say the sky was hazy, and I mean you can see it. The the haze, and people were saying like, "What are you talking about?" And I go like, "You kind of smell the burn, the or
Yeah. Yeah.
or smell it." And so like, I know, I kind of feel like, wow,
Hey, that dissipates through the whole country.
Yeah.
You know, if you're
I,
having trouble breathing, there's a good chance that it's from the particulates from that.
yeah. Last year when the kind of fire was going on, you can see the ashes coming out, the ashes coming down over here in Chicago.
Really?
It looked like it was snowing, but it was ashes coming down. So that's the only thing that I can tell you. But I think that some people did really well. Like always, other people did like me, just okay. I think that most people walked just disappointed more than anything else. They was expecting better from more of the show.
Those were in those private conversations when you asked somebody how they're doing. That was your impression,
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Yeah.
I think I applied to that show once and I think I got on the wait list.
This is the first time I get in, I always get waitlisted. So that's what I was interviewing to do it more than anything else. To see if it's something that I want to keep applying. If that more than anything else. But it's an expensive show. Ideal situation would be to able to stay in the van every night. But most of the places you kind of park, I would say 99% of the places nearby to the show you kind of park after 11 o'clock at night. There's no Planet Fitness in my case. The closest one will be Salt Lake City. So I had to drive every day to Salt Lake City to shower, which is not worth it, in my opinion. So, and the setup is not as bad as if you had if you're doing 3D, I mean 2D, if you have the legs that you can adjust, it's and the panels in the back is not a big deal. Otherwise, that's another thing I would not recommend. If your setup is not designed for an incline, don't do the show. Because you're going to be crying. Because I went the first day, I went look and I go like, okay, the right legs, you're facing my tent, your right legs are going to be about, compared to the left legs, it was like a 12 inches drop. So, But like I said, it was fun. There's a lot of people from out of town. Um, it was good experience, I think.
Well, I finally got around to nailing down my reservations for St. Louis. And I really like it. It's the hotel there is independently owned. And the family that's owned it takes care of their employees. So last year we were in there, and that was the second or third time we'd stayed there, and it was like, these are the same people working here that were working here the last couple times we stayed. And I said something to one of them, and they said, "Oh yeah, this is family owned. We've all been here. I've been here like it was like 15, 16 years, and this is somebody working in the restaurant, you know, which I thought was pretty unusual." So it's my favorite parking garage. I have to be careful where I park. So if I park in the wrong spot, when I open one of the doors to the van, it hits the parking garage support.
No. What's your question?
So Barry, when's your next show?
Birmingham.
Oh my goodness. Who's so?
No, it's great. Who wants to go driving around?
You want to?
Yeah, if they're all like Coconut Grove, I want to go do the shows. I have no desire to do anything lesser than that.
So
And
how
some of
far
it has to do, huh?
isn't Birmingham but a Detroit suburb?
Yes.
How far is that from where you are?
420 miles.
How many?
420 miles.
I didn't
40
realize
miles?
420.
Oh,
I didn't realize Michigan was that big.
Oh yeah.
come on, Barry, you can do it.
But I stay with my brother. I can walk to the show from his place. Or I can stay with friends.
Come on, Barry. Why you kind of stay with your brother?
I'm not saying. I'm not in their class socially.
Oh, baby.
I know. No, I should be fair.
That is, I didn't realize, like I said, I didn't realize Michigan was that big.
You know what? Birmingham is a lot like Clayton. They're pretty much similar in look, ambiance, type of stores.
Well, in Clayton this year, I'm at the top of the hill instead of the bottom of the hill, which puts me about 3 blocks closer to the hotel. So I got about half the walk I had last year.
Yeah, now that's fun. You can stay right there. I like that. And the rooms are reasonable, or they were.
How much is the hotel over there in St. Louis for you, Tor?
$90 a night because I'm staying 5 nights. It's cheaper for me to stay 5 nights at this hotel than it is 4.
So how you say $9 a night?
90.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, $9 a night. It's generally a 4 per hour hotel, but with court they made an exception.
That's what I asked you again because it came out to me like a $9. It's like wait, I got to move there.
$9 a night
Oh,
doesn't get you a pillow.
oh my God.
Hell, $9 a night barely gets me parking there.
That's right. If you can park for $9, that's cheap.
Actually, parking at the hotel is $6, but they don't charge parking Friday and Saturday nights.
So nice of them.
And my van is just barely under what will fit in the parking garage.
It's always a consideration.
And the antenna, the radio antenna, when I bought it used. The radio antenna, I noticed the top couple inches of the radio antenna was bent over at a 90-degree angle. And I'm going, that's kind of weird because you'd have to get on a step ladder to get up to reach that. And I found out the previous owners must have parked it in a parking garage on a regular basis and got tired of the antenna hitting everything. So they bent it over just above the roof line. So if the antenna hits, I know I'm in trouble.
Yeah, then you have to back out. And the person behind you is swearing at you.
Well, you have to be careful in this parking garage because the supports are arched. So
Oh,
as long
yeah.
as you stay in the middle, you're good. But you have to
Yeah.
be careful when you pull into some of the parking spaces because the supports curve down on the ends and it's not the 7-foot clearance that they say it is.
You know, today I went to Starbucks for coffee on the way up, and the sign that said the clearance, like as usually you can see it when you
Yeah.
want to go in, it was flipped to the left, so you can't even see it. So you have to go in to the area, look to see how high clearance, and then I had to back out because it was less than because it says 8.6, but I think that my band needs 8.75. And there's no way I'm going to risk it. Because this is one thing that I find out. If you ruin the roof of the top or your high top bands, it's a total. So just to let you know, Barry, don't hit the roof.
I'm very good at that. I don't get even close.
Oh,
Yeah, I knew a couple of people that went under low overhangs with a tall ambulance.
there's one piece that I saw all the time, and I can never remember the name of the piece. What's wrong with that?
You're getting old.
No, it's just that
See, now he's wandering around. He's lost his mind, and he doesn't know where he is, and he's wandering around. He got up to wander around. That's the beginning, Oscar.
Barry with my wagon,
Yeah.
and the hotel is a nice walk. I haven't seen, my wife bought a new wagon. She saw one on sale, and I told her, well, let's wait till the other one breaks down. And she went and bought the new one anyway.
That's good.
She liked it because it had brakes on it.
Hey, I know, I I know how you feel about it because I can be the same way. So enjoy. We need this, you know.
As long as I can throw my backpack and cooler in there and shove them up against the corner so I can stand my mugs upright, then I'm good.
You drive better.
Yeah.
Is it a better ride? Yeah.
Well, I just don't want I mean, one mug usually in the mornings has ice in it. So it's not really going to spill, but the other one has water in it. And if it flips over, it will leak quite a bit.
Yeah, you got to close the top.
Hard to do with a straw in it.
That's true.
The other one is a big, well, one's a tumbler and the other's this massive mug, but it actually, you can buy an insulated metal top for it, and that thing keeps ice for a long time.
Well, what happened is just now that the person that was supposed to come to clean the boxes for the cat show up just now, and I didn't realize he was here. But
So now I have to go. I still got a few things to send to St. Louis, but I have to send them my van information because I got new tags on my van and it's a different number. Kansas changed the tags and tag design and went with everybody got new numbers. They went away from the old style plates with the embossed numbers on it to the new printed license plates that are flat.
Really?
Which seems to be the end thing. And then they also went from 3 numbers, 3 letters to 4 numbers, 3 letters. And then we renew we have 3 vehicles, 2 cars in the van. They're all get renewed at the same time. So we get new license plates. Now you would think that we would get 3 consecutive numbers.
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
We got the low number is 04.
Hey, hold on a
We
second.
got 04, 08, and 11.
But that doesn't really matter, does it?
If they're close together or some other pattern, it's a little easier to remember them.
In Michigan, they print the license plate on the registration when they send
Yeah.
you the registration or proof of insurance or both. I'm not sure.
I don't think our license plate's on our proof of insurance. The VIN is, but I don't think the license plate is.
I mean, the registration on the paper.
Yeah,
So
I think
you
it's
don't have to.
definitely on our registration.
Yeah.
But when I'm sitting in here in my studio and I gotta put a license plate number on, a form.
You just look at the registration.
Well,
It's in your wallet.
registration's in the van. But at least this time they're all similar. Before we had, we've had these plates so long that the plate for the van was drastically different than the plate from the cars because we got it at a different time.
Yeah, they have some really weird questions in St. Louis. Like, are
What
you
else
a
they need?
convicted felon?
That's for the merchant's license.
Nobody else does that.
Yeah, the merchant's license in Wichita has the same question on it. Pretty common question on merchant's licenses.
What is the point of asking that kind of question?
On a
So they're
merchant's
not going to give you.
license,
Yeah.
felons are not allowed. I'm not sure if they're allowed to deal with sell alcohol and firearms and maybe a couple other things.
I thought maybe they want to know what kind of riffraff was coming into their town.
Well, in Wichita, they call it the transient merchant license.
Yeah, we're transients, all right. We go from town to town selling snake oil. I've seen those westerns.
Did Larry go take a nap?
Maybe.
Maybe he had a serious medical problem while he was sitting there and he keeled over.
Oh, don't say that.
Gallows humor.
I'm waiting for it to cool off because I've got to clean the van out and do a couple things with my tent, and I don't want to do it when it's 100 plus outside.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit, I think it's hot. It's 70 degrees here.
Just you would die this weekend in Utah, Perry.
Oh, I know.
It was nice and toasty. Even when it was 80 degrees, you stand in the sun, it will feel like you was cooking.
I know. And once you get into that weather and the sun's beating on you and you kind of have a heat stroke, which I've actually had a couple times, it seems like it's so much easier to get it.
Going to be
You know,
99 tomorrow and then taper down to 78 on Saturday.
Oh my God. I guess you get used to it.
78 for this
No,
part of the country, this time of year is very cool. I mean, anything below about 85 for a high. 78 is the high.
it was cold this morning, and you know the funny thing, in Iowa and Nebraska yesterday when I was driving was at 99 degrees up by 5 o'clock at night, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. This morning driving from that where I was in Iowa, the temperature never went above 70. It was 65, 60. I had to put the heat for a little bit because it was that cold.
Hey, when it's that hot, and I'm assuming you just pulled over, you didn't get a room halfway or anything. You just pulled over to
When you're
sleep a
driving,
few hours. Yeah.
no, when it's that hot, I keep driving,
Oh,
until the sun goes down.
yeah. I was wondering
You
if
know,
you leave the air conditioner on for hours. You know, I put it in idle and leave the air conditioning on. I don't think it's good for the transmission.
Well, I'm driving. I don't. When I stop to sleep, no, I use just the regular fans. But by that point, the temperature is in the 70s, 72, and it dropped to 60 degrees at night. So you didn't need it. By driving, no. I drive in a air condition all the way through.
The AC in the van's pretty good. The AC in my car is not great. If I'm on the highway, the AC in the car will hold it good. But if I'm driving around town, the AC in my car is not that great. No,
You
I
know
did
what?
this.
I need to fix it.
I
Sorry.
did this today.
Yeah. You voted in the primary.
Yep. I voted
You really can vote?
primary. I voted in a whopping 2 elections. The other 11 were uncontested.
What what kind of state is that? Is that Republicans or Democrats? Wait, Oklahoma? Oh, I know the answer to that. Never mind.
Kansas. Kansas
Kansas.
has a very interesting political scene.
Yeah, they flipped, didn't they, in the last election?
Now, I am a registered Republican because most of in my area and in a lot of Kansas, it's different when you get into the cities. But in the rural areas like I'm in, most of the elections are actually decided in the Republican primaries.
Oh, so just so you can vote, you registered as a Republican?
Yeah, so I can because Democrats rarely win here in most elections. There's one exemption to that, and that's governor.
Yeah, isn't there a Democratic governor?
Yes. And Kansas regularly has Democratic governors because the Republican Party wants to run whack jobs. So what you do is I vote, I register as a Republican, and then in the primary for governor, I vote for the biggest whack job there is. Knowing that they're not gonna be able to beat the Democrat.
That's great.
And then the other races, you pick the lesser of the two evils, and hoping that because there is no contest. So I mean, my US representative was uncontested. State senator and state representative were both uncontested. The state board of education, there were 2 people running. I could only find information on one of them because the other one didn't bother to fill out any information for one of the TV stations.
I guess that's
Who was
better
doing
than
a
just lying about it.
yeah. And then the other election was for sheriff, and the guy that's been sheriff was running against this other guy who's also a whack job. And he ran before and just got beat all to hell in the primary, and I don't know why he's running again.
Ego.
He is it's a small town cop that's been fired from a couple places and has a bad reputation, and he's going up against a guy that is a retired officer from he was a retired captain or something with the Wichita Police Department. And he's done a great job. So
Well, that doesn't mean he's going to get reelected, especially here in America.
Well, and then the way the Republicans are trying to screw around voting rights, I vote in almost every election I can, because you never know, somebody's gonna come on and say, oh, you haven't voted in the last 2 elections, so we're dropping you off the voter rolls.
Yeah.
They can do that?
Yeah.
Can do whatever they want.
Kansas purged 30,000 people off the voter registration list, probably about 7 or 8 years ago.
They got to get rid of the electoral college.
Maybe when I die, Larry.
I
Which
think
is
I
never.
think they should start with changing the electoral college to there's 2 states that it's not winner take all. They actually split the electoral college votes. I think all the states should do that.
Yeah, Nebraska, I think it is. That area, is it Nebraska where there's an area? Like,
Yeah, it's just one vote. That's the Omaha.
except that in the presidential election, I was watching today what they think is gonna happen. It could come down to that, those 2 votes in Nebraska. It's weird in that county.
Actually, it's there's a state in the Northeast. I don't know if it's New Hampshire, Vermont, or Maine. One of those states up in that area has they split the electoral college vote.
Yeah, I think that's Maine.
And
Yeah.
like the
I'll give my
winner
friend-
gets
I'll give my friend Stephen King a call and ask him.
the winner gets, they split it, based on percentage of votes, and then they take 1 vote from the loser and give it to the winner, because they award 1 vote to the winner automatically and then split the rest, something like that. I don't remember, but there's another state that does something similar, and I don't remember what state it is.
California made it so that the popular vote gets all the national popular vote gets all the delegates.
That's the way it is everywhere except 2 states.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maine is split.
Can we vote tomorrow? I don't want to wait till November.
Oh, you have to wait till November. You can only vote in November, Barry.
No, I know. I was just making a,
You have to go in person and vote in person. That's the only way to do it.
I agree. Well,
If
it's
you
not the
cannot
only
do
way.
it that way, your vote doesn't count. Oh my God.
Unless
Hey.
you're a Republican.
Vote early, vote often. It's my motto.
You're right, Barry. It is Nebraska,
Yeah,
and the way
And
it works
Nebraska.
is by district.
yeah. How many votes do they get? I think it's 2. You're looking at it
Just
now?
one.
Maine is also 2.
Because they were speculating that it could be even. It come down to both of them having 249 votes, or electoral votes, and then that 1%, that one vote. I think it's 2 though, but Oscar probably knows. And that's going to be it. So, who likes the choice that Kamala Harris made? The Minnesota.
On the
Yeah.
face of it, it's just another old white guy.
It's a Biden, it's Obama Biden all over again. That's the concept that they're going for.
I don't like it.
Well,
Okay,
you don't have to
according to
like
this, Nebraska has 4 votes. Maine has 11.
Now I'm going to tell you, Nebraska is a long state with nothing basically in between. $7.25. Gonna put it in. Oh God, I'm so tired.
No kidding.
Well, guys, I'm going to let you go because I'm going to go and take a nap.
You want to call me tomorrow?
I will.
Okay.
Now, Barry,
Be good.
Kansas's interest later, Oscar.
See ya, Oscar.
Later.
Kansas is interesting because you have you have kind of four population centers that tend to vote more liberal. And three of the population centers are very close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the rest of the state. And so you have, you know, this vast area that is totally different thinking way of life than, you know, the people. And I don't know I think there's actually more people in the population centers,
Mm-hmm.
like the Kansas City area
Mm-hmm.
and Wichita, near where I live. Lawrence, Kansas, which is just about a suburb of Kansas City, and what they did is for Lawrence, Kansas, because it's where the University of Kansas is, and it's an extremely liberal town. Lawrence, Kansas is about 40, 50 miles from the eastern state line. They ran a congressional district that goes from Lawrence, Kansas, 300 and some odd miles west to the Colorado-Kansas state line,
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted to dilute the liberal influence of Lawrence, Kansas.
Mm-hmm. You know, Michigan's pretty much the same. There's Detroit, Detroit, Lansing, um, Grand Rapids, and what else? Oh, Ann Arbor. Um, uh, Grand Rapids is pretty much Republican. The rest of that group that I mentioned are Democrats, but everywhere north of there, they're all small towns and they're all Republicans. And but it's so concentrated in, let's say, Detroit, that they're all crammed in so it's a small area with a lot of people, as opposed to a big area that's sparse.
The Kansas has a long Republican history, but it has a long history of moderate Republicans,
Yeah,
and the moderate Republicans in this area do not tolerate the right-wing whack jobs.
yeah.
And so they are less likely, they are more than willing to vote for a Democrat rather than a whack job.
Well, in Michigan, the whack jobs have taken over, and the moderate Republicans are sort of been marginalized. They are speculating that in Michigan those Republicans are going to vote for Kamala Harris, but Waltz is being portrayed as this extreme left wing radical by the Republicans, and there's a lot of people that'll believe that. Whereas if they had picked Shapiro from Philadelphia or from Pennsylvania, uh, he he's more moderate. In fact, the criticism of him was he was too liberal, which actually that was good for me. I like that. You know, they didn't like him because he's too liberal. Make him the vice president, or the guy from Arizona, who's he's an ex astronaut and a general good guy, and his wife is Gabby Gifford. She's got a great reputation. I would have much rather had him be the vice president. America's too chicken shit, and the Democrats are too. I find it to be now. Listen, this is just me. I find them to be it's a hypocritical that they would they can't have a Jew as a vice president, and I think that's the only reason why Josh Shapiro is not the vice president candidate, because they were too chicken shit to make him the vice president. He was the best qualified.
What I've read so far about the governor of Minnesota looks like he brings a lot.
You know, I haven't seen him speak, so I'm talking out of hand. I want to, I want to see him talk. So, you know,
I think
I
what
hope
he
he's good.
brings, I think what he brings that Shapiro might not is an appeal to people in more rural areas.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I've just been watching the Fargo, the series. I've been binge watching it. It's 5 years, and I think it's great because first of all, it's the Coen brothers produced it, and it's really wild. But some of the great things like the accents, they use the Minnesota North Dakota accents and the attitude of the people. I really love it. I think it's great. So when you say Minnesota, I'm thinking, oh, he's one of those guys, you know. So I want to see him talk.
Yeah.
I hope he's a bulldog. I hope he really goes after them.
Hey, Barry, did you see Designated Survivor?
No.
Really good series with Kiefer Sutherland.
Cool. You know what I did watch today that just blew my mind? A friend of mine suggested this. This is really great. It'll give you if you watch this, you'll have a whole different um, viewpoint of the world and the universe. It's called Fabulous Fungi, and it's about mushrooms, basically. And it's really great. Mushrooms are everywhere. They've been here for billions of years. They're not going anywhere. And that whole thing of, I mean, we don't tap into their resources like we should. The medicinal properties,
Mhm.
they could use it to clean up oil spills because the fungus breaks down the oil.
I made you host, Barry, or Larry. I
Yeah,
gave you
I
host
see that.
back.
I see that.
I gotta run.
Yeah. Are
Well, I
you
got
done?
stuff to do also.
Yeah, me too.
See everybody later.
Yeah, see it. That was fun.
All right, bye.
Getcha. Even